Alexis Ware was a 29-year-old mother of two from Greenville, South Carolina. She dreamed of building a business, growing her social media presence, and creating a better future for her children. On January 30th, 2022, Alexis was last seen at a 7-Eleven gas station on Highway 29 North in Anderson County, South Carolina. Around 7:30 p.m., she met up with the father of her child, dropped off her kids with him, and then drove away. Not long after that, her phone went straight to voicemail. Just 3 days later, on February 2nd, her red Honda sedan was found abandoned in McCormick County, South Carolina, nearly 70 miles away. Inside the car were her purse and cell phone. Police processed the car, collected fingerprints, and searched the area with K-9 units, drones, and ground teams. Despite these efforts, no clear answers were found. At first, the father of her youngest child was considered a person of interest since he was the last to see her. But investigators later announced he was no longer under suspicion. Alexis's mother revealed that, before her disappearance, Alexis told her she felt she was being followed by someone in a black truck and that she had received strange phone calls. As of 2025, Alexis Ware's case remains unsolved. Her family and supporters are now pushing for the Alexis Ware Act, a proposed law that would let families request that the state's top investigators take over missing persons cases when local investigations stall. If you have any information, please contact your local authorities, because as of today, Alexis remains missing. On June 26, 2009, Lindsay was walking home from a friend's house. It was only about a 10-minute walk to her home, but she never arrived. That evening was the last time anyone saw her alive. Surveillance footage from that night showed a white truck and a man entering a convenience store in McCleary. In the years that followed, investigators searched homes, businesses, and storage units connected to persons of interest. But no solid answers came. For years, Lindsay's family held out hope. Then, in September 2017, hunters in a remote area of eastern Washington found human remains. DNA testing confirmed they belonged to Lindsay. The case was immediately reclassified as a kidnapping and homicide investigation. One name that has come up is Paul Beaker, a man arrested for a 2003 kidnapping and assault in the same town of McCleary. Because of the similarities between that case and Lindsay's disappearance, investigators are looking into whether he may have been involved. However, as of now, no one has been charged with Lindsay's murder. In 2023, authorities followed up on new tips and conducted evidence searches in wooded areas. The FBI has also offered a $40,000 reward for information that helps solve the case. To this day, Lindsay's killer has not been identified, and this case remains unsolved. Gladys Ricart was a 39-year-old woman from Ridgefield, New Jersey. She was known as loving, hardworking, and excited to begin a new chapter in her life. But on what should have been the happiest day of her life, tragedy struck. On September 26, 1999, Gladys was at her home in New Jersey, preparing to marry a man named James Preston. Friends and family had gathered, flowers and decorations were set, and a videographer was filming her final moments at home before leaving for the ceremony. But what happened next was something no one could have ever expected. As Gladys posed for wedding photos, her ex-boyfriend, Augustin Garcia, walked into her home. He carried a gun. In front of her family, friends, and the videographer, Garcia pulled out the weapon and shot Gladys 3 times, killing her instantly in her wedding dress. The horrifying act was captured on video, shocking everyone in the room and later becoming a key piece of evidence in court. Augustin Garcia was arrested immediately after the murder. During his trial, prosecutors argued that he could not accept that Gladys had moved on and was marrying another man. The jury found him guilty of murder, and in 2002, Garcia was sentenced to life in prison. Gladys Ricart's tragic death became a national story. To many, her murder highlighted the dangers of domestic violence and controlling ex-partners. Each year on the anniversary of her death, activists in New York and New Jersey hold the Bride's March, a procession where women wear wedding gowns to honor Gladys and raise awareness about domestic violence. On February 22, 1985, Cherrie got off her school bus near her home in Cabot, Pennsylvania. It was a Friday afternoon, and she was supposed to walk just a short distance from the bus stop to her house. But she never made it home. The last time anyone saw her, she was walking toward her driveway. Witnesses also reported seeing a bright blue-green van with a mural painted on the side, parked near the bus stop. That van quickly became the focus of investigators. Police launched an immediate search, scouring the area with helicopters, dogs, and volunteers. Despite their efforts, there was no trace of Cherrie. No belongings, no signs of a struggle, and no confirmed sightings after she stepped off the bus. The van with the mural, described as having a painting of a mountain and a skier, was never located and remains one of the biggest mysteries in the case. Her mother has said she believes that van was directly connected to Cherrie's disappearance. Over the years, many theories have surfaced. One theory is stranger abduction. Investigators believe Cherrie may have been kidnapped by someone in the van. Another, local connection. Some wonder if the person responsible knew the bus route and her schedule. And lastly, false tips. Dozens of leads came in over the years, but none have ever led to Cherrie. Sadly, her case remains classified as a non-family abduction, and authorities believe foul play was involved. For Cherrie's family, the pain of not knowing what happened has never gone away. Her mother still speaks publicly, saying she will never give up hope of finding out the truth. Khadija O was a 23-year-old beauty blogger from Algeria who had moved to Germany. In 2022, her life was stolen in a shocking case that became known as the doppelganger murder. In August 2022, police in Ingolstadt, Germany, found a bloodied body in the back of a parked car. At first, investigators thought the victim was a missing woman named Cherrie K. But DNA tests soon revealed the truth. The victim was actually Khadija O. The reason for the confusion? Khadija looked almost identical to Cherrie. Prosecutors say that Cherrie K. and her accomplice, Shakir K., lured Khadija to her death. Cherrie allegedly wanted to fake her own death to escape family problems. To do it, she searched Instagram for women who looked like her and eventually found Khadija. Cherrie offered Khadija a beauty treatment, then picked her up and drove her into a wooded area. There, Khadija was brutally stabbed more than 50 times. Her killers then left her body in the car, hoping police would believe it was Cherrie. The plan didn't work. Forensic evidence quickly exposed the truth. Both Cherrie K. and Shakir K. were arrested, charged, and later sentenced to life in prison. Khadija's family in Algeria, however, said they were barely kept informed during the trial and felt left out of the process. Khadija O. was murdered in one of the most disturbing and bizarre cases Germany has ever seen. Her story is a reminder of how dangerous manipulation and obsession can become, and how even social media can be twisted into a tool for crime. Sophia Koetsier was a 21-year-old medical student from the Netherlands. In 2015, she traveled to Uganda for what was supposed to be the experience of a lifetime, an internship abroad, helping others and exploring a new culture. But instead, her trip ended in one of the most mysterious disappearances Uganda has ever seen. Sophia arrived in Uganda in August 2015. She was doing an 8-week internship at Lubaga Hospital in Kampala through the youth organization ISEC. After finishing her placement, Sophia decided to travel around the country with 2 fellow Dutch students and a local guide. They planned a 17-day adventure, visiting national parks, seeing wildlife, and experiencing Uganda's natural beauty. Friends and family described her as kind, adventurous, and passionate about medicine. She also lived with bipolar disorder, which was under control at the time, but could make her more vulnerable under stress. On October 28, 2015, Sophia and her group arrived at Murchison Falls National Park, a vast area filled with rivers, cliffs, and wild animals. That evening, around 6:30 p.m., witnesses say Sophia was last seen walking near the river, holding a water bottle. She seemed calm, but after that moment, she was never seen again. When she didn't return, a search began immediately. Her shoes and pieces of fabric were reportedly found nearby, but there was no sign of Sophia herself. At first, Ugandan authorities suggested she might have fallen into the river or been attacked by an animal. But her family didn't believe that explanation. The area where she disappeared wasn't known for dangerous wildlife attacks. And if she had drowned, her body likely would have surfaced, but it never did. Then came more troubling details. The tour guide leading the trip, Michael Kajambu, allegedly wasn't licensed to operate. Investigators also found gaps in how the search was handled. Evidence wasn't properly preserved, witnesses weren't fully interviewed, and the scene wasn't secured. Sophia's mother refused to give up. She's traveled to Uganda many times, met with police, journalists, and even international investigators, determined to bring her daughter home. In 2022, the case was reopened. A special Ugandan task force was formed, and international experts from the UK and Israel joined the investigation. But in 2025, the court case against the tour guide was withdrawn, leaving the family heartbroken once again. Today, Sophia's fate remains unknown. No evidence of foul play, but no proof of an accident either. In January 2016, a 21-year-old American student named Otto Warmbier traveled to North Korea for what was supposed to be an adventure, a trip he'd never forget. And he was right, but not in the way anyone expected. Otto Warmbier was a bright, outgoing student from Ohio, studying economics at the University of Virginia. In late 2015, he joined a guided tour to North Korea through a company called Young Pioneer Tours, which marketed itself to adventurous travelers. The group entered the country on December 29, 2015, for a 5-day trip. Everything seemed normal. They visited Pyongyang, saw the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong, and took part in government-approved tours. But on January 2, 2016, as Otto prepared to fly home, North Korean authorities stopped him at the airport. Officials accused Otto of trying to steal a propaganda poster from the hotel where he was staying, the Yangakdo International Hotel. They claimed he committed a hostile act against the state. Otto was detained, and within weeks, he appeared on North Korean television, visibly distressed, reading a confession. Most experts believe that confession was forced. Otto begged for forgiveness, saying he made a very severe mistake. But few outside the country believed he had done anything deserving of serious punishment. In March 2016, Otto Warmbier was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. 15 years for allegedly trying to take a poster. For months, his family heard nothing. No phone calls, no letters, no proof of his condition. North Korea refused to let anyone see him, not even representatives from the US or neutral countries like Sweden. In June 2017, North Korea suddenly announced it was releasing Otto for humanitarian reasons. When US officials arrived to bring him home, they were horrified. Otto was in a coma. He was blind, unable to speak, and unresponsive. North Korea claimed he had contracted botulism and taken a sleeping pill, but US doctors later said there was no evidence of that. Instead, they found severe brain damage consistent with oxygen deprivation, possibly due to trauma or long-term abuse. After 17 months in captivity, Otto was finally home, but he never regained consciousness. Otto Warmbier died just 6 days after returning to the United States on June 19, 2017. He was only 22 years old. His parents, Fred and Cindy Warmbier, said their son had been systematically tortured by North Korea. They described his condition as horrifying, saying his body showed signs of abuse that couldn't be explained by illness alone. North Korea has always denied harming him, but few believe their story. Otto's death caused international outrage. The US government placed new sanctions on North Korea, calling his treatment a brutal human rights violation. During the 2018 US-North Korea summit, Otto's name was repeatedly mentioned as a symbol of the regime's cruelty. His family later won a $500 million judgment in a US court against North Korea, though they've received little of that money. Despite everything, the Warmbier family continues to share Otto's story, hoping it warns others of the dangers of traveling to North Korea.